So the past couple of years of D&D have been very exciting for Magic the Gathering fans. The D&D people, considering that Wizards of the Coast owns both D&D and Magic the Gathering, they have been kind of merging the two. The Magic the Gathering multiverse and the D&D multiverse have been kind of merging into like a mega multiverse. And you might be aware that a little bit ago, Wizards of the Coast released Forgotten Realms Magic cards. And Forgotten Realms for many years now has been the default basic D&D world, and now it's a Magic world too. So we're going to talk today about D&D house rule that I use, that when parties go to places like Ravnica or Theros or Dominaria or Zendikar or Innistrad, Ixalan, when they go to any of the worlds that they have developed for D&D. Now, most people are aware of the Ravnica hardback, the Theros hardback, and they're coming out with a Strixhaven hardback here in a couple months. But at dmsguild.com, they also have a series called Plane Shift that's totally free. This was something they did a few years ago when you could, they were kind of dabbling in it to see what the response would be if they started doing this, and the response was very, very good. But they have free PDFs for Dominaria, Ixalan, Innistrad, Amonkhet, Zendikar, and they even have an Ixalan module, like an Ixalan adventure called X Marks the Spot. And they're totally free, and free's a good price. You can find those on DM's Guild. So today we're going to talk about how to work the Magic the Gathering feel and some of the Magic the Gathering magic system into your D&D game to make it really feel like your characters are in a Magic the Gathering world, more so than just using the D&D rules in a Magic the Gathering world. Let's see how we can integrate the experience. So back in the summer of 2019, I ran this campaign that started out in the spring, went all the way through the fall, and then when school started again, we kind of stopped it. But it was an every weekend thing, staying up till the crack of dawn, or at least well after midnight. It was fun. And one of my best friends in the world, Nathan, this is for you. He has been into Magic the Gathering since the 90s, and I told him, since we were going to do this campaign for the summer, and D&D had come out with all these rules for, or basically supplements or expansions to convert Magic the Gathering worlds into D&D worlds, I said, yeah, just pick one of those, and I'll do that. And he picked Dominaria. And so I just dived into Dominaria. I absorbed tons and tons of lore. There were videos on the internet like the history of Magic the Gathering in 12 minutes and stuff like that. I went to eBay and I ordered a bunch of the old novels. Read about the first 20 novels. Learned about the Brothers' War and all the Dominaria races, like the Viashino, and then there's these elves that can mostly pass for human. They don't even have pointed ears, and of course a lot of the decisions for races in Magic the Gathering comes down to how the cards were done. It was a card game, so apparently the artists didn't know that they were supposed to be elves and didn't have their ears pointed, and so these particular elves from these cards years and years ago, they didn't have pointed ears, but they gave them something cool anyway to make them exotic and elf, and they have mood color eyes. So just like a mood ring is supposed to change color with your mood, these elves have mood color eyes. Their eyes change color. And so I got totally absorbed into Magic the Gathering lore so that I could properly DM it and really immerse people and make them feel like that really was Dominaria, not just a some guy's table approximation of Dominaria, but really, get into it with deep lore. And so one of the adjustments that I've made to Magic the Gathering worlds when people do D&D in a Magic the Gathering world is I include the color pie, because how can it be Magic the Gathering if you don't have the color pie? So what we do at our table, and right now on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the Game Shop's basement, it's actually a Ravnica campaign. The players are actually in Ravnica, And so when the players got there, even if they came from a different world, they need to figure out what color caster they are. They could be a pure color caster, or they could be a hybrid caster, just like in Magic the Gathering, you have a hybrid decks and everything. So there are just certain buffs that you get if you're at a node for that type of magic. And the buffs are better if you're a pure caster, because there would have to be some kind of incentive to be a pure caster, or pure casters wouldn't exist. Why wouldn't everybody take two? I mean, two is better, right? More is better. So if people take one and that's a thing, then there has to be a reason why they're taking one. So basically, if you are, say, black oriented caster, and you're in a graveyard or some place that the DM feels would be like a black magic node, or if you're a white oriented caster and you're in some holy temple, or if you're a blue oriented caster and you're right near the ocean, or you're out on an island or something, wherever the DM, or you're a red oriented caster and you're next to a volcano, wherever the DM thinks that that you might be, that you're near a node, you get some buffs. Now NPCs get these buffs too, and so basically this puts some strategy in the game, because going to try to frontal assault somebody's home turf, if their home turf is a node for their type of casting, then that kind of puts you at a disadvantage. So how this works is, if you are a pure caster of a pure color, now this does not affect your spells at all. This is just a buff. So if you are a cleric, druid, bard, wizard, sorcerer, eldritch knight, arcane trickster, rogue, whatever you are, this little house rule here does not affect your spell lists or what you can cast or restrict you in any way. It just kind of buffs you because you're near this node that you're attuned to. So if you're a pure caster of a pure color, then while the DM thinks you are near that node or close enough to that node, then you re-roll ones and twos if there are dice involved in your spell. So if you're throwing a fireball or a lightning bolt, or if you're a cleric healing someone, you get to re-roll ones and twos, and your spells have free upcasting by 2 columns. So you could toss that fireball and that fire as a 3rd column spell, and it would go off as if you had upcast it to 5th level if you're a pure caster and you're at a node that represents your type of magic. Now if you're a hybrid caster, you still get to reroll ones and twos, but you get a free upcasting of only 1 column, and that's the thing, because you're as a hybrid caster, you get to do this at 2 different types of places in the world. So that's your advantage, is that this can happen for you, twice as often in twice as many places. But a pure caster gets more. So this is kind of how we, and this worked great that summer. So in that particular party, there was a cleric of Sarah, and he was, attuned to white magic. There was a nature cleric attuned to green magic. There was a ranger attuned to green magic. And there was a rogue that I believe was attuned to blue magic, because he was an arcane trickster rogue, or he had magic initiate or something like that. But so he had a few spells, and it was a couple summers ago. I don't completely remember his build, but he was an arcane trickster rogue, or I think he maybe was a rogue with magic initiate feat. But yeah, it worked really well, and people really liked it, because that particular group they all played Magic the Gathering. And so the more I could include Magic the Gathering in my D&D representation of Dominaria, the more they liked it. And they even when the enemies were using it, if they were in a dark evil temple fighting dark clerics and necromancers, and the dark clerics and necromancers were buffed because that was a black magic node area, yeah, I mean, they still appreciated the connection to the lore, and even though they were getting beat up by it, it was putting them at a disadvantage. It made them feel more immersed, like, yeah, this is what Dominaria would be like, there's the color pie, and it affects your magic. So if you can include the color pie and how it affects players and NPCs' magic in your D&D games that may happen in a Magic the Gathering world, then that's an awesome thing.
So right now I'm sitting outside on a patio making D&D videos as part of what I do to get paid. I'm a professional game master, and if you're a game master and you've thought of making some money at it, you can too. We have at the Game Shop's basement a 7 days to Pro GM course that teaches in 7 lessons what took me 50 days to do, to build up my business to the point where I don't need my job anymore. So that's kind of exciting. Or maybe you just want to make a little extra money, have a little bit of a diverse income stream. That's kind of a smart thing to do these days with the world being all crazy. Or you might want something that you can work from home without having to go anywhere. Well, check into Pro DMing. So at GameShopsBasement.com, at the top of the webpage, we've got a banner that will take you to a page where you can learn more information about the 7 days to Pro GM course. And it's fun. It's exciting. Check it out. So Magic the Gathering and D&D are kind of merging, and tomorrow we'll do D&D House Rules number 10, where I'll discuss player character planeswalkers. Oh yes, that's a thing. In the meantime, I'll see you in game.